Okay, let's start. This is day one, 1600 hours, and with me is Arjen Fijn from the Netherlands, presenting 10 gigabit Ethernet monitoring live. Please welcome him.
Okay, thank you. I hope I can all entertain you. There's so many people here. So I'm daring to do a live demo of 10 gigabit monitoring, and let me first introduce you to the demo setup. On the top we have a traffic generator that generates 10 gigabit Ethernet traffic, and I'll send that to a switch below. And between this switch there are two wires, traffic generator and switch are two wires to send the traffic over it. And we're going to monitor the traffic that is on, let me see if I can point you to that, on here. For that, and now I have to do another trick. For that we have to go to the screens. Yeah. The screens that we have. What you see here is the output of the traffic generator, sending right now about 1,000 frames a second, and receiving a little less. Here we have Hysterix is one of the screens of the monitor box. Laserix is the switch I was talking about, and that's what we're going to use for the demo. So, and I forgot to say first, please ask questions in between. This is a live demonstration with lots of numbers on text screens. A Windows screen you might not be familiar with. So if you think, hey, I don't understand it, please raise your hand and you'll get a microphone, and we'll try to get it, to get it a more live and understandable demo. So, first, we'll send traffic about 1,000 frames a second to this switch. And here on the other port we send also about 1,000 frames a second, but hey, we don't receive anything. So this switch between this traffic generator, that might be broken. Who thinks it's broken actually? Because I think it's broken. Because I would expect that the traffic that I sent in would come out, could go through the switch and come out through the other port. And apparently it doesn't. So let's have a look at this Ethernet switch, which is here. And the first thing people on layer 2 switches do is look at, hey, do I learn MAC addresses behind the ports? And we do that with the command show MAC address. And we see that the switch learned 2 MAC addresses. And that are actually the MAC addresses I expect. So here's something really, really wrong, because I see here MAC address 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 behind port 2.1, and MAC address A, B, C, D, E behind port 2.4. So, and there is, the H is 0, so that means that the switch actually learned these MAC addresses on the port. And still there is no traffic coming through the ports. If you look at show interfaces, interface sys 2.1, we see that we receive input rate, we receive about 500 packets a second. Well, the traffic generator says it's at 1,000 frames a second. And on the other port we receive about 1,000 frames a second. And hey, it says it transmits about 500 frames a second. So let's go back to this traffic generator, and that's exactly what we see. We send, and I hope you can see that. Is this too small? We'll receive about 0 frames here, so nothing is coming from this port to this port, and 1,000 frames here, and about 500 frames are coming out of this switch. So the switch seems really, really broken. Is it really broken, is the question, of course. And as you might guess, looking around on the switch, let me switch this on. We cannot really see. Wait a minute. Live demos are difficult. Looking at the switch, we see these frames coming in. We see about 500 frames coming in. Well, the traffic generator says 1,000 frames. So let's look at what is coming in. Let's look what is coming into the input. So for that, we are going to look at 10 gigabit. And we're going to switch to this window. It's working, yeah. And this is the monitor box I want to demonstrate. And I'll set a filter to look at the traffic, and I'm going to look at the traffic. And oh man, there's a lot of traffic coming in into this switch. So, wait a minute. So let's see if we can do not the traffic distance. I have this in my distance for A, B, C, D, E, which is the traffic I'm sending over this link. I'm sending traffic towards A, B, C, D, and let's see if there's other traffic. So I'll set this filter, and I'll look at TCP dump again, and hey, I see traffic from a really, really unknown source. Anybody an idea what kind of traffic this is? Nobody? Okay. Let's ask a more smart program, T-Shark, which has the sectors for lots of different Ethernet frames. And we see that this is actually a pulse frame. So our coming pulse frames are coming in to the switch, making the switch block the traffic that it's sending out on that port. Pulse frames say, if the switch receives a pulse frame on its port, the pulse frame actually says, please stop transmitting traffic for a while. So actually only by looking at the traffic, we could see that this was happening. And I'll explain later on in slides what was actually happening. But only looking at the traffic that was going over the wire, we could see this. The switch doesn't have any counter of saying, I have so many pulse frames coming in. Because pulse frames are really processed early in the ingress path of the switch. And I'll try to explain that right now. So, this was a bit of live work.
I think it works. What's up with those pause frames? I don't remember seeing them in like a normal 100 megabit Ethernet on my switches. So
yeah.
Is it possible to like generate them and like make the switch pause on every port, or is it just the port that
it's the port that receives the traffic on? There,
so I can just block myself.
You can block yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. You might be able to. No, the switch will receive it. So when you look at this traffic generator was sending these pulse frames over this link to this Ethernet switch here, and it will make that the traffic from here to this port is being dropped, basically. And on the switch, we do show MAC. We just learn the MAC addresses from the traffic that is coming in here. But the traffic is really, the pass frames are really dropped early in the ingress path of the switch. So if you send it, a good switch will drop it right away, or process it and drop it right away. It will not switch it through to another port, so you cannot block anybody else with it. So that was, let's have a look. So I'm now going to do the real slides, and not clumsy with screens. I'll go back to another demo later on. So what's the agenda? I'll first start with an example on slides, which is basically the same thing as I just showed you. Then I will try to tell you what are actually the problems with monitoring on 10 gigabit Ethernet on these fast links, why a general purpose computer, and also a really fast general purpose computer, is not fast enough to do this. I'm going to tell you a bit on monitoring with switches and using the mirror port feature on these high links. Then I'm going to tell you the solution we made for that, and how the hardware is built up, the firmware in that hardware, the software around it. That's all in a general overview. Then I'm going to in a bit more detail, and later on you may see some more confusing screens going over the beamer. So let's start with the example. I work for a network that normally connects BGP routers, and I symbol that with this circle on the left, and that's now represents a 10 gigabit router. That is connected to all-photonic switch. That is a fiber switch that sends the light that is coming in, is switched to another port, to a redundant switch fabric, a switch part. Actually, for every port, for every BGP router, there are 2 separate switches. And this device in between connects this router to one or the other Ethernet switch. And that's also very handy if you have a new switch, and we grow with traffic all the time, to put this new switch into production and really quickly get it out again. So we had this new switch, and we connected it to our switch park. Everything looked fine. And we used this device to move this BGP router on the left into production, and immediately that router wasn't very happy. So we switched back, and logically you think that this new switch, that new element you introduce into your network, is really the fault. Would make sense, I think, because that's a new element in your network. So let's start debugging this thing. I'll tell you how the vendor of this switch did that. They were actually very smart. They said, let's put an access list on this switch, and then look at the counters of this access list. It counts on ingress the frames, and on egress the frames it should go out, right? And if these numbers are the same, then the switch is switching. So to tell you that, traffic is coming in here and goes to all kinds of blocks in the switch. The phi is the optic, where the light is being converted to electrical signals, goes into the MAC chip, that's actually that thing that does pulse frames, and goes to a packet processor. And the packet processor processes the access list. So the access list counts on ingress, the number of frames, goes to traffic manager, switch fabric, comes to another traffic manager, comes to another packet processor, and is counted again. And if these numbers are the same, then we know that this whole path